Of course, lawyers being paid by the hour, getting three of us here to do a 15-minute panel is pretty hard. And they don't call the papers that we file in court briefs because they're short, but we will try and keep this to 15 minutes. And the one thing I'd ask is that there are a number of issues involving the real-time web and social stream that impact you, your employer, the things that you post, your relationship with your friends, etc. A lot of the answers, as I'll tell you, will be it depends. But if you have questions, please pose them. We found that it's a lot more interesting when people tell us what you'd like to hear about them when we pontificate. So I'm serious about that. You know, there's the old joke that if you ask a lawyer a question, he'll answer it depends. Or she'll answer it depends, because they have to look up the law, and they have to check the books, and think about the facts. Well, in this space, it really does depend, because there is no law about social media right now. There are doctrines of law that will affect social media. You can be sued for libel. You can be fired. You can be not hired as a result of things that you post or people find out about you from Facebook or Twitter or MySpace. But it's much like the Wild Wild West. And since the Wild Wild West is abbreviated in www, think back to the original days of the web, when it was unclear if you could link to someone else's page without incurring copyright liability. What about deep linking to inside the front page of a website? And what about caching? Every browser caches, which means they make a copy of someone's copyrighted content if the page is copyrighted. It took until the year 2000 and the so-called Digital Millennium Copyright Act to figure that out. So in short, the answers are evolving as we speak, and it does depend, because it depends upon what the courts say and what Congress may say, but of course, any legislature is going to react to the last 10 years and not the next 10 years. So a lot of the issues that we're going to discuss today, and we took about 9, we'll look down to 3, are our best predictions of where the law is going to go. One final point of intro. There is risk here. There is risk for participants. I think our prior speaker from the entertainment industry illustrated that pretty well. I certainly wouldn't want to be dragged before the lawyers at GE for something that I tweeted in the course of my employment. But if you don't take a risk, you don't get the rewards. So part of what we'll be talking about are 3 areas where the risks are pretty high and the rewards are great. The first is, who owns user-generated content, UGC, on social media? I'll be addressing that. Second, what are the challenges based upon rising from the real-time web for employers and employees? Adrian will be addressing that. And then my friend Brett, who's an IP lawyer, will be talking about regulation with a focus on what the FTC has said about endorsement guidelines. So I'll turn it over to you fellows, and whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I feel a little bit, I know how you feel, right? You heard Punky Brewster, Billy Bush, and now 3 lawyers, right? So hopefully we can make this enjoyable for you. But I really want to start by talking about, everybody's wondering, you know, can employers prohibit their employees from using social media? And we have this a lot, especially with major law firms, major financial institutions. They have so much fear of what can go wrong on social media that they're just prohibiting use of it altogether. And although there are some, you know, free speech arguments that could be made there, generally the courts have found that employers have a lot of leniency to fire you for whatever reason they want, right? So, but I'm going to talk really about 2 major reasons why employers need to have leniency in allowing their employees to use this stuff. And the first one is really a legal risk, and that is, if you build up a wall around your company prohibiting anybody from using social media, the big risk is that your employees are going to find a way kind of under the wall anonymously to post, and when they say damaging things and it comes out what their real identity is, you never had any idea to start with. So really, if you let them use it, then you can monitor them. So that's what we tell employers, you know, instruct them in how they use it and give them some concise guidelines. The second risk, really not as much as a legal risk, is a business risk. And for most law firms around the country, especially these big law firms, they have some really incredible attorneys that work there. And these are attorneys that are doing exceptional things. And their risk is that they're going to do exceptional things and nobody will find out about them because they're not using these tools in the right way. And when it comes to lawyers, their real biggest goal is to become trusted advisors to those that they help. And to really advise your companies, they need to understand social media. So as you look for attorneys, as you look for someone to draft your social media policy, don't go to the attorneys that haven't really had any experience with it. So that's kind of a few notes I would say on employment issues with this, and maybe turn it over to Brett for next.